Hey everybody, Motorpoet 59. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lunacy and idiocy that a lot of states are involved in, but particularly California, because this is where I live and this is where this particular issue is affecting my family. Talking about these early release programs for nonviolent offenders. It's ridiculous. Are there nonviolent offenders? Sure, they are. But what I've said in the past, I don't know if I've ever talked about it on this channel, but I know I've written about it before, is that just because one person is a nonviolent offender, the crime that that person engages in generally involves violent offenders at another level. And say you're a drug addict, say you're a junkie or whatever. The people who surround that lifestyle, who make that lifestyle available to people, are violent offenders. These are people who, and not all of them. I mean, I used to, hey, back in the 80s, I dealt crank, but I just did it to support my own little habit. And after about 6 or 7 years, I got tired of doing that and stopped doing it. And I wasn't violent. The people who didn't pay me, I didn't go break their kneecaps or anything. I just didn't do business with them anymore. But the people who I dealt with definitely were the people who were the violent offenders. I knew people who their job was to go get money from people at any cost. But the simple fact is, all crime has a violent edge to it, even white collar crime. You think that there are no violent people in white collar crime that would maim or kill to protect their criminal investment? Sure, there are. It really doesn't matter what the crime is, especially where killing is concerned. And there are accidental deaths. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about everything from a drunk driver who kills somebody, or somebody who's high on coke that kills somebody in a car wreck, or however it happens, all the way up to premeditated murder. And what has really brought this into focus for me is I have a cousin, and her son was murdered in 1995. He was 17, and he was with some of his friends. This is what I always tell people. There are friends and there are acquaintances. You should never really hang out with acquaintances until they become your friends. He wasn't involved in anything at all. These kids were talking about robbing a place and taking the money and going to Seattle. He told them he thought it was stupid. He didn't want to be involved in it. And he just wanted to leave. And there were some girls with him. He was going to take the girls. I don't know all of the details. And I have to say that his name was Jason Corbin. And I'd never met Jason. His mother, I was around a lot when I was younger. And we kind of lost touch for a while. And when I heard about the murder of her son, I attended a couple of parts of the trial. And we started getting to know each other again. And we're pretty close today. These kids decided that they were afraid he was going to tell on them for their plan, which they hadn't done anything. So you can't get in trouble for making plans. You can't get in trouble for talking about robbing someplace. But they decided they were afraid he would snitch them off, and so they killed him. And prior to him dying, they beat and tortured him for 4 hours. And this is by admission of this kid named Michael Todd. He came up for parole 2 weeks ago, and the parole board filed a motion to grant him the parole. Now, he hasn't been paroled. There's a big process. It's a few months away. So there is time to write Gavin Newsom about this and all. I'll put the information in the description below, and I'll also leave it in a text up here so you can write it down if you care to help out. While this kid was in prison, he was still involved in violent gang activities, which he continued to be involved in until 2018, at which time all of a sudden he started doing AA and NA meetings and supposedly turning his life around. I know nothing about this kid, but I know that a lot of people use those 12-step programs and religious programs to get out of prison, and once they're out of prison, they just go back to their old lifestyle. This was a heinous crime. This wasn't about two kids getting in a fight and one of them getting killed in the fight in an act of passion, you might call it. And when I say passion, I don't mean sexual passion. I mean, if I don't like fighting, so I have to be really pissed off before I'll fight. And when I fight, I'm passionate about it. And it's why I don't like doing it, because I don't want anybody to get hurt, especially me. This was a heinous crime. It was a terrible, terrible crime. And I don't care if someone becomes born again, preaches it to the world, and really, really means it. They still have to pay for that crime. And he should never be let out of prison. He took the life of another person in a premeditated fashion. And it's like I said, it's not like they started beating on this kid. They made the decision to do this, and they tortured him. It wasn't like they just took a gun out and shot him and went, oh my God, what did I do? They tortured this boy for 4 hours before he finally died. And this guy's name is Michael Todd, and he should never, ever be let out of prison. And I don't want to hear any whining about his family and how his mom or his family miss him, whatever. I know nothing about this kid's family. I don't care. All I know is about my family. That's the only ones I care about. I care about my cousin, and I do not like seeing her suffer like this. This whole procedure has really gutted her. I don't think criminals should be released early at all. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if prisons are overcrowded. If you don't want to go spend time in a prison and be shoved in a cell with 10 other guys, then don't do criminal acts. Don't drink and drive, even if it's something that simple. Don't drink and drive. Don't sell dope. Don't burglarize homes. Don't commit the crimes, like the old show Beretta. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. But my point is, when these people get out of prison, they're generally not different people. And I have a really good friend of mine who got busted for dope many years ago, spent time in prison for doing that. And when he came out, he changed his way of living. He didn't want to do that again. And he is a useful, productive member of society today. He's been working at the same place for a long time. He's got a good job, has a family. And so it does work for some people, but for most of them, it doesn't. I think the recidivism rate in California is about 70%. So it's obviously not working. Let them stay in prison. Let them rot in there. Let them kill each other in there. I say good riddance. I have no sympathy for criminals of any kind. What do you think? How do you feel about that? Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motopoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. I'll see you all later.